It's Sandra. Welcome to another episode of Asexualized, my asexual life. This is a place to be for education about asexuality, all things asexual, and I share my asexual journey in order to help you in yours. If you haven't already subscribed, please hit the great subscribe button below right here, right now. Please hit that bell icon to get notified of every time I go live like now, post a new video. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you find content useful, helpful, insightful in any way, shape or form, or you just want to give this channel some love. I really do appreciate it. If you don't know who I am Sandra Berry, author of this awesome book, Asexual Perspectives, 47 asexual stories, love, life and sex, a celebration of asexual diversity. I'm also the founder of asexualise.com, the founder of Asexualise Academy, and author of this beautiful fibromyalgia self-help handbook, which shows you how to manage your fibromyalgia to have less pain, more energy and feel happier. And the techniques apply in this book to most people's lives without fibromyalgia. So if you're looking to get more energy in your life, have less pain overall, and you're looking to get a really positive mindset to basically eliminate depression and decrease your anxiety, this is the book for you. It's an autobiographical self-help book. So it's really important. Obviously, there are chapters that are more geared towards fibromyalgia, but a lot of the techniques used for overcoming depression, increasing anxiety, is really good. Hi, Richard. Oh, it's lovely to see you. Lots of love. Really lovely to see you. I was thinking about you the other day. I was wondering how you're doing. I hope you're doing okay. It's nice to see you. I hope you're keeping safe and well. In this video, I'm specifically going to be going through 7 ways to reduce your stress levels. And stress can be a killer. And the reason I'm saying this is because, as you might have known, I was on antibiotics about a week ago, and I had some other previous treatment for pelvic problems. And I spoke to my doctor today, and I'm having to get some more medication for that because it's not fully cleared up. And so there's a test that I got sent by the doctor's secretary asking me to come in. And obviously we're on lockdown where I'm recording this live, where it's the coronavirus going around. We're on lockdown. We're not supposed to go to our doctors, right? So I thought it's very weird. Anyway, she says a standard letter they send out for a specific test that, you know, it's an optional test. But I've told them before at the doctors that I can't have this test because it's too painful with my fibromyalgia. And, you know, it's just like, I've had it before and it was horrendous. The last time they tried it, I couldn't do it. I was like crying and screaming. I'm like, you've got to stop, right? And so I wrote a letter to the surgery to say that I'm not having this test done, specifically not in the way they do it. And I'm happy to have it done if it's a different way, the way I want it done, but which is like, you know, going to be a lot better for me. Oh, I'm glad you're good, Richard. That's really important. I'm really glad. It's lovely to hear from you. And so I thought it's, you know, I don't want this done. So I explained, oh, thanks for the thumbs up. Lots of love. So I explained to the doctor, I said, look, I'm not having it done. She goes, oh, we can discuss this when the coronavirus is over, because obviously, you know, in a few months' time, because we don't want to be like having people in surgery now anyway. And I said, well, you know, I've got anxiety too. I mean, I was diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder level 4 years ago because I've got a new doctor, but it's the same doctor's surgery. And she goes, oh yeah, I'm aware of that. And I said, well, you know, I can't be doing with this test. You know, the last time it was awful. It felt like I was being cut with a knife. It's not good, right? I couldn't even go through with it. So I'm not having it again. And the time before when I did have that, 2014, it was painful then. So I said, you know, and she's like, oh, well, we'll try and find other solutions. You know, you can take this thing home and practice with it. And I'm like, I've told you I don't want that thing that's to do with part of the test. And I said, I've already told you I don't want that. I've told you I can't have it. I told you. I explained to her other treatments I've had. And I said, there's nothing more they can do for me because I can't have that type of stuff. You know, my fibromyalgia is really bad in that area. I managed my fibro well overall, but I just can't be doing with that. It doesn't good. It's no good, right? Inflames in that particular area, right? And so she kept going on and she's like, oh, well, we can start with a smaller one, then a bigger one. And I'm like, I don't want it done. And she goes, oh, well, we'll discuss it, you know, don't stress. And I said, well, yeah, I need to keep my stress levels to a minimum. Because if I don't keep my stress levels to a minimum, it lowers my immune system. And then I'm more susceptible to getting the virus, as in the coronavirus, right? Because if you have stress, it does lower your immune system. the more you lower your immune system, the more chance you have of catching sickness, illness, disease, and stuff like that, right? And viruses, which is what I don't want. So I said, I've got to make sure I'm not stressed. As you can tell, I'm stressed now. This has happened, this conversation, a few hours ago. And I'm a bit stressed, to say the least. Right? And I have got the option to opt out, but it's not that I don't want the test, because I think it's quite beneficial for health reasons, but I just don't want it done that way. So they're like, oh, well, we can't do it in your way. I'm like, well, they got a test in a different format in Australia. They got the test from other places, which is like 85 quid. You know what I mean? I'm like, I haven't got that sort of money at the moment. And it's not as accurate as their specific test. But I mean, they've got these tests in Australia, whether, the hospital, the doctors provide it. And she's like, oh, we can't provide that for you. And so, now she's told me, oh, just let's leave it. And then we'll speak about it in months' time, in, a few months. And I'm like, I'm quite stressed. So I don't know now whether to opt out completely, or whether to just wait to see if we can come up, me and her, with solutions together. Because I gave her another solution. She goes, oh, it's possible, but it sounded very much like a but. She doesn't want to do that, And so, yeah, I'm not very happy about it, really. So it has caused me stress. And now I'm in a dilemma. Like, do I just say I'm just completely opting out of it? Because I've seen online that these tests are likely, the tests that they do in home tests that they do in Australia are likely to come here in about 3 years' time. And if I opt out of it, I will never be able to, she said, I won't be able to ever go back on it again. I don't know if that's true, but that's what she said to me, right? And so it's like, and to be honest, I'm not in a high risk category. It's likely that it would be negative anyway, highly likely. So I don't even want to opt out, but I've been thinking I might just, have to opt out, because I'm getting stressed already about it. Because with anxiety, if you've got anxiety, it doesn't tend to go away unless you deal with the problem head on, and face what it is. And so I wanted to just confirm to you that she did actually agree with me that, that you can actually lower the immune system by getting stressed, and you're more susceptible to getting viruses. So in that way, stress is a killer, because if you lower your immune system, then you get a disease or illness or sickness that kills you. Then it's because you lower your immune system because you were too stressed. Stress, if you look online even, stress is a very, very, very huge problem. That's what a lot of people go off work sick with, stress, actually. And stress does change chemicals in the body. Like I said, it lowers the immune system. Some people can end up in hospital through pain in the body. They don't know how they got it, but it's through stress from things. So I've written a little list here of things I know and ways of dealing with stress, and 7 ways actually of how to reduce stress. So I haven't had too much stress, despite everything that's going on in the world at the moment. I'm usually not that stressed, because it's imperative that I keep my stress levels to an absolute minimum. And I can't urge you more to do the same, because you have to be putting yourself first, right? We have to build our immune system. We have to make them as tough as they can possibly be. So it means we have to eliminate as much stress in our life as possible. It's very, very important. Now, until she started, I didn't even want to speak to her on the phone, because I knew she was going to try and persuade me to have this test. Like last year, I had a blood test. I have really high anxiety around blood tests. So I hadn't had one for years, and it came back negative anyway. And the stress of the anxiety was when I got a respiratory infection. I got a respiratory infection last year, pretty much straight away after the blood tests. I mean, my mum and dad were very sick, so I kind of called it off them because I was in the same room as them. Like 2 days before, my mum actually came with me to have the blood test, even though she's really poorly, like had flu or something. They found it's a respiratory infection later, because she was given antibiotics after me. But even so, do you know what I mean? I know that I was really low immune system then, because the anxiety was so high that it just caused me to have a lot of illness in my body. I could feel pain all the time, and it didn't bode well, and since then I've got some stress, but it's like more manageable, kind of like worry stress than actual super high powered stress, can't deal with it type thing. But this is very difficult for me to deal with, I have to admit, and I just wanted, I was happy in a way that she confirmed that stress does lower the immune system. It makes you susceptible to illness, sickness, and because I said it'll make me more susceptible to getting the virus, and she's like, yes, I know. So that's why we're not going to talk about or think about it for a few months. But as you know, with anxiety is not like that. You can't let something go. That's the whole point of anxiety. drives you up the wall. You know, you focus on things, even if you put it to the back of your mind, it's still subconsciously in there, so it'll keep popping up usually. Hi Sam, hey Sandra, I'm listening but also messaging someone but can hear well. Okay, that's great, it's nice to see you. So yeah, so after the doctor confirmed that, you know, stress can lower your immune system and you're more susceptible to getting the virus, you know, I thought I'd put together 7 steps for reducing your stress that have actually worked for me to reduce it. Like I said, I don't completely get rid of all stress in my life. A little bit of stress is good anyway, it's healthy. But in times like with the virus going around, you need to minimize your stress to stay super strong and to keep building your immune system up, right? To keep making it, you know, as basically tight like it can be as possible, right? So we're going to start with the number 1 first. Is right, okay, so you have to identify all the stresses in multiple areas of your life, right? So every bit of you, what I want you to do, the first step is to write down with notepad and pen all the different stresses in your life right now, whatever they are, to do with relationships, family, friends. Obviously you might have some of these areas might not have any stresses in them and other ones might have a lot of stresses in them, right? So just because you're writing the different areas down doesn't mean to say you've got stress in all of them, but you're writing them down. You know, the major aspects of your life are basically relationships, family, friends, loved ones if you've got a spouse, finances, spirituality, so your soul, your life purpose and mission, and I said finances, I think already, haven't I? So relationship, basically relationships, finances, your health your health as well. I haven't mentioned that, actually, health in general. Yeah, I just said health, Sam. I just said health, and you just put health question mark like about a second after I said health. That's really spooky. Yeah, so definitely health. Yeah, was the other one. Thank you, my friend. So yeah, so you need to write all these out, and then you need to literally write all the different stresses. I wrote as you said it. Oh bless. We are psychic. I think we're getting more psychic, me and you. We're starting to like say things at the same time. We'll think the same things. Hi, my life. Nice to see you. Definitely nice to see you. Someone's saying about you. We haven't seen you for a while. It's nice to see you. So number 1 is like literally identify all the stresses in all aspects of your life. So write it down with notepad and pen. Now, step 2 of how to reduce your stress, I've written them down. That's why I'm looking down at my notes. Is what makes that stress that you've got with those particular areas in your life, different areas, like I said, family, relationships, health, finances, you know, spirit, mission, life purpose. I don't know if I mentioned that before. Family, friends, spouse, loved ones, all that type of thing. So all those different areas, I want you to identify specifically what makes it a stressor and why. What makes that particular thing stressful and why? So in other words, what's your trigger? What is it particularly that makes, so is it the person? Is it the situation that you're in? Is it someone else in the situation that's coming in and sticking their nose in where it's not wanted? Is it they're being offensive towards you? Is it something that you haven't really paid attention to and you know you should, so you just let it go on and on and on? So yeah. My life, my cough is gone. It was just a viral infection. Oh, I didn't know you had. Was that like last time you were on the stream? Because you haven't been on for a while. So I'm glad you're better. Ray, hi, all been throwing axes in the garden. I'm glad you said in the garden, Ray. Nice to see you. So yeah, thanks for the thumbs up as well. Lots of love. So yeah, so I want you, once you've written out all the stresses and different aspects of your life, you've written them down with pen and paper. Step 2 is to what makes it stressful and why, because you literally have to understand why it's making you stressful. What is it? Because you cannot solve the problem of the stress in your life if you don't know why it's there, right? If you don't know what instigates it, what triggers it. So you have to identify your stress triggers. So one is, what is the stress? And then what is a trigger and why? You know, why are you getting stressed with that? You know, it doesn't mean to say you're wrong to get stressed. It's just like, why are you getting stressed? Right. So step 3 in how to reduce your stress levels is to prioritize the urgent. Basically, the ones that are, you have to give priority to all the stressors in your life. So the ones that are more stressful, so like on a scale of 1 to 10, on those different areas of your life that you've written down on with your notepad and pen, the different stressors. You've written why those areas are stressful for you, you know, what's triggering them. And then you need to prioritize them, you know, which is the most urgent to be dealt with, which is causing you the most stress in your life, which is probably going to in turn cause you very much anxiety, right? So when you're reducing your stress, you're reducing your anxiety, because they kind of go together. Stress gives you anxiety, right? Because you're kind of worried about it. They usually go hand in hand. So, you know, you need to prioritize, like, which those stresses are most urgent, which are the worst, like, which gives you the most stress, which is just a little bit of stress that you can, you know, you can deal with, it's bearable, and which is giving you really immense amount of stress, like it's really in your face, like urgent situation. Do you know what I mean? You need to deal with it now, really, not put it off any longer. So all those things I need you to go through with your notepad and pen, and, you know, make sure that you literally write down a priority in terms of 1 to 10, 10 being the worst, you know, and go through everything so you know which ones are the ones that you have to deal with first, right? Which brings me on to step number 4, which I actually mentioned in last night's video as well, is to be solution focused, not problem focused. So step 4 is to then come up with solutions to how you're going to reduce those stresses in those different aspects of your life. So obviously, after I've recorded this video live, it's best to go through it again and pause it and write all this down. Do the work it takes to de-stress yourself. So if you are watching this now, you're actually feeling stressed, don't just watch this video all the way through and then think, oh, I'll leave it, I won't bother doing any work with it. I want you to actually physically do this work to help you. I've done it before. It does help. It doesn't mean to say like stress can't come back, because we get different stresses, then you have to go through this process again, right? This is how it happens. Like probably every few months, 3 or 4 months, you need to be going through it. I put all my stress into my AO. Into your what? AO. My life. Remember to smile always. Oh, thank you. To remember to always smile. That's a good one. It's very good. Yeah, because smiling, it's hard to be depressed when you're smiling. But yeah, so we need to, so 4 is to come up with solutions. So we be solution focused, not problem focused. We know the problems because we've already worked out what's causing our stress. And then we are literally on step 4, coming up with solutions. Right now, when you come up with solutions on your own, and then try and come up with solutions with other people, because you might need other people's help, right? So it might not just be, you know, you might need to include other people in helping you to come up with solutions. So try and work out as much as you can by yourself, because then you'll feel in control and empowered. But then you know, there's stuff that you're not always going to be able to deal with yourself. So say you had a problem with something to do with a bill or something, you might need to talk to a bank. You know, you might need to involve your bank. You know, say you wanted to manage your finances better, you might want to see a financial advisor, for example, or someone in your family or friends who knows how to deal with money and manage it better than you do, for example. Do you know what I'm saying? So you might need to get some outside help. So you look at what you can solve yourself and then look to get outside help wherever possible, right? So step number 5 is you need to actually create a action plan, right? You need to create an action plan. So in this action plan, you need to be setting goals, so different goals of how you are gonna, you know, deal with these stresses. So say you've got like, I don't know, 5 major stressors right now, right? You're not kind of maybe going to be able to deal with those all at once. It depends on what they like. You know, if it's 5 people in your life and they're your family and friends, say they're 5 Facebook friends that you don't really owe anything to, and you can just kind of like delete them and all and block them, can't you? That's kind of like taken care of, right? But in general, most people like have 5 different stressors that they're not necessarily going to be able to like clear up this minute, right? So you need to be setting, but you know, some of them you probably will. So you need to be setting goals and plans of action. So what is your goal? And then what is your plan of action? So this is like kind of twofold. One is the goal setting, and the plan of action with those goals. And then you need to break it down, you know. So sometimes it might be really easy. I've got a bill, I can't pay it. Who's you know, who am I paying the bill to? Let's contact them by email, you know. So first of all, you have to, the first step, the first goal is to identify who the bill has come from. Second step is to identify how to contact them. Third step is to actually contact them. 4th step would be to come up with a solution of how you can pay in installments. And then 5 is the plan of how long that's going to be over, and then put it in writing as the 6 so that you get a letter back, that type of thing. 6 goals and then you've achieved them. And it's sometimes important. Well, I find it important to write these things down so you can tick them off, so you can feel you've achieved something, and you've done everything you need to do. Because if you don't put it down on paper, sometimes it can cause more stress because you're trying to think of too much in your mind at once. So you've got the stress building as well as all these goals and things you have to do to sort the problem out, and then that builds up into a big mountain of stress. Do you see what I mean? So if you're writing it down, you're offloading from your brain onto pen and paper, so you can kind of rest your brain for a bit. You don't have to be thinking in your head all the time, oh, have I done this? Have I done that? Got to do this, got to do that, because that can accentuate anxiety, and it can make your head want to explode because there's just too much in there. So that's why people do journal. That's why people journal, especially if they've been through like they're going through an emotional turmoil or something. Like, people journal to get their emotions out, so it's not all in their head, and then it stresses the body out and makes you ill. So that's why journaling is very, very important, writing things down. So when you set the goals and the plan of action, the 6th step is to actually take the action. So a lot of people in life, they'll be like, oh, they'll come up with solutions maybe, and they might not even get to the stage of solutions, because they might just be like, I don't know what to do, because they're focusing on the problem, not the solution. Like, how can I change the situation? What can I do? Are the questions that you should be asking. They're much more intelligent questions. This is like, what can I do? How can I do it? What help can I get? Where can I get it from? What am I going to do next? Right? The 6 is action. If you don't take any action and you just sit there looking at a piece of paper or thinking I'm going to do this, but don't actually do the work it takes to solve the problem, then nothing's going to happen. Some magical thing's not going to come down out the sky and actually solve all your problems for you. You need to take some action. And even if they do solve temporarily by outside means, you'll find later on the thing comes back at you because you haven't really solved it. You've kind of put a band-aid over the problem and issue. So you need to address it one way or the other, right? And it might mean being a bit anxious because the decision's going to make you anxious. Like, I do have anxiety, so I find it difficult to make decisions, right? Decisions don't come easy to me. It can be very stressful for me to make decisions sometimes. Some decisions are easier, but some I procrastinate over, and the procrastination does kind of sometimes even cause me stress. It's like, why can't you just make a decision, Sandra? And then I'm being self-critical, right? So the 6th step is to take action, right? Take action, right? And the 7th step is to watch your inner voice, your inner critic, because like I just said, I can get very critical. So I'll be like, why aren't you just doing this, Sandra? Like, you've got all this stuff, you need to do it now, blah, blah, blah. But actually doing this is much more systemized, it's much more logical, and it's much more like relieving the pain in your body and your brain because you're getting it out all on paper. Like, it's good to do these type of things probably once every 3 months at least, because unless there's something that crops up in between, like every 3 months, I find with me, it's sort of like something usually happens. Like, I end up like loads of types of stress like happen, boing, and some of probably have carried over the ones that I couldn't deal with at the time, or the ones that I've dealt with somewhat, but they're still not fully finished, because life isn't always black and white, and sometimes we can't always completely get rid of all the stress, can we? We have to reduce it. So 7 is to not give you a hard time about it. Try not to be self-critical. Like I said, I do it because I am, I try not to, but I do slip into that sometimes. So it's really to praise yourself. Step 7 is to not be too self-critical, like try and avoid negative self-talk, and actually praise yourself whenever you have done one of these things to reduce the stress, and try and do them one by one, because otherwise if you try and do them all at once, it will overwhelm you. So step 7 is to very, very much like relax. You've got it all out on paper. You know what you're doing. You're taking the action. You've got to take the action, because if you don't, then you will become more self-critical. Right? So you need to take the action, however small it is, small baby steps, as that's all you can manage because you're in a stress state, right? And then you need to, like praise yourself and take notice of when you've achieved something. This is why writing stuff down is very good as well, because it's making you aware that you have achieved something. If you're a person who's very self-critical and very like, oh, you haven't done this yet, you haven't done that, why haven't you done this? When you do write stuff down that you have achieved, you can then say, well, I have done something, I have worked towards it, I have done some de-stressing, I have got rid of all these stress things. I still got these over here maybe because I've got to deal with them, you know, because I'm prioritizing at the moment my most urgent and ones that are in my face, basically, you know. So it's very, very important that you follow all these steps through. And obviously, if the stress is becoming too unbearable, then you need to actually find some outside help if you just can't cope yourself, right? So obviously there is kind of an 8th step to this, like a bonus step, if you like, and that is, I've already mentioned about coming up with solutions before, either on your own first and then with other people. So I've already told you to involve other people, but there might be certain stresses that you need, you know, you do need to see a psychiatrist or counselor or psychologist for. You know, there might be some talking therapies that you need to do, and that would be your solution. So we kind of already touched on that before, you know, when we said about coming up with solutions on your own or with other people. So the solution might be you've got to see a psychiatrist and stuff, or you've got to phone someone up to get some help. Or maybe it's the case you need to get some help for someone else. Maybe you're looking after elderly relative or someone, thing like that. And it's really stressing you out and you need some outside help to come and help you to deal with the elderly relative, you know? So it might be that type of situation that you're taking everything on yourself and it's just stressing you out. So whatever's going on in your life, these are the steps you can do to help you to reduce your stress levels. And the importance of this is you need to keep stress to a minimum, specifically at the moment more than ever, because you can lower the immune system if you don't decrease your stress. If you've got high levels of stress, you're more likely to be susceptible to sickness, to illness, and to getting viruses, which we want to avoid. Getting the coronavirus as much as possible, right? There's loads of medical ways to do it. There's loads of obviously social distancing, washing hands, all that type of thing on the government websites, you know, or for all that advice. But the further advice that's very, very important is to maintain a strong immune system, and that encompasses a lot. Yesterday, I did a video about how to reduce your fear, right? How to deal with fear as well. So if you haven't watched that video, after this, go and watch that now, because it's very important this goes with it, because fear as well causes stress, which then manifests itself in the body as certain chemicals, which can cause damage to the body long term, because it raises your stress levels and type of hormonal stuff that if you start Googling stress and what chemicals are released, like cortisone and all that type of thing, it can be very damaged into the body over a long period of time. So, you know, do your own research as well, but these should help you because they do help me. Like, I wasn't feeling too stressed despite everything, because I try and remain calm as much as possible, because I take loads of action all the time to minimize my stress levels, to not get involved in what's going on in the outside world. But like I said, I went to my doctor because I've got pelvic issues still. Better than what they were though. I'm not in pain like I was before, so that's good. But you know, and then she's on about me having a test that I've already had before that I don't, you know, in the past at her. And then last time I couldn't have it tested, and now she's saying in a few months' time we'll discuss it because she still wants me to have it, you know. And I've already written letters saying I want it done in a different way, and she, you know, so that is stressing me out at the moment, and that is an urgent stressor at the moment for me. So I have to deal with it. I have to either accept the fact that yes, we're going to talk about it in a few months' time after the virus is gone, and try and come up with solutions with me and her together. But she's already pushing me to do the thing I don't want to do. Or you know, all the situation is to just literally say I'm not having it done, I'm opting out, which I can do. But then she said I can't go back on that, which is why I didn't want to opt out, you know. But it's causing me, since then it's causing me stress in the last few hours because of my anxiety. Because she said, oh, you know, don't think about it because you get anxious. I mean, I'm like, yes, I was diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder level 4 years ago. You know, I do manage it really well, but certain things like I know that's harmful for my body because I've had it done before, which wasn't good. And then the last time I couldn't do it, and I was literally screaming and crying in the doctor's surgery. You know, I didn't want to discuss this with her because I knew she was going to try and persuade me to do otherwise, you know. So I've got to deal with that now. I've either got to wait, I've either got to change my mindset and wait for a few months so it's over, and then see if the solutions we can, if she will accept any solutions that I come up with for myself, or she still keeps reverting back to that, which I'm not doing. I don't think I can do what she's saying to do, because I told her about previous history as well. I don't think I can do that. You know, well, I told her I'm not having it done. You know, I've said I've got all these. That's the whole point of me writing the letter in the first place. You know, and so yes, I've either got to accept that, and in a few months' time, literally think, well, we'll give the solutions solutions that I want or comfortable with a go. That doesn't work, then I won't bother, and I'll just opt out of it then. Or I've got to completely opt out of it now. So at the moment, because it's really stressing me, I might have to just opt out. But it's something that I did actually want, but in a different format, if you know what I mean. So I've got that to deal with at the moment, and that to I don't want to worry about it. It's already making me worried. All I care about the moment in terms of myself, if I'm looking after myself, self-care is literally keeping my immune system as strong as it can be by eliminating as much unhappiness, pain, and stress, anxiety, fear, worry, eliminating as much of that as possible. All of it. I need to keep it to an absolute minimum, because I know from my personal experience, I know that if I lower my immune system in any way, shape, or form, I'm more susceptible to getting the virus. I know that about myself. I know myself very, very well. I manage my self-care very well. I know not to take on too much at the moment to do stress. I know that to keep my workload at a certain level, I know to have more fun, and to not feel bad about it, because my number one thing for me personally, obviously I care about other people, but for me personally, I have to keep my immune system strong. It's a matter of life and death to me, matter of life and death. And that, I think, is where people should be looking, not just at the other measures, but keeping your immune system strong. Obviously it's to do with the food you eat as well. It's not just to do with your mind, but mind's a huge part of it. But it's like green leafy vegetables, broccoli, spinach, all those type of things. There's a lot of vegetables that are helpful for boosting the immune system and reducing likelihoods of sickness, illness, and injury, that type of thing. So, well, sickness and illness, you can't really reduce injury, can you, as such? But if you can, in the sense that if you can get more ill, then you can be more prone to accidents because you're not taking good care of yourself. So that's how come it's healthy. Let's see what's happening in the chat. Right. Right. I put all my stress into my arrows, then release them. That's very good, Ray. That is very, very good. Yeah. That's very good. It is good, but as long as you actually does release them and it's not just temporary fixed, do you know what I mean? So some people put band-aids over problems. So what I mean by that is, they cover over the problem, they temporarily release it, but they don't actually get it out of the root of your soul. Within like we operate usually on overall, we operate on like a subconscious level as well as a conscious level. It's the subconscious that's the problem, because it's what you don't think you're stressed about. That is when it manifests in the body. So I can feel not stressed sometimes, which I feel stressed at moments. And speaking to the doctor, I can feel stressed, not feel stressed sometimes, and I can still experience stress. So I've got to watch that, because consciously I might not feel stressed, but subconsciously I might be. I am aware at the moment that I do have a little bit of fear subconsciously. I'm aware I do, because I monitor my behavior. I monitor my thoughts quite regularly. And I'm like, well, you do have a little bit of fear of the situation outside, but the fear is as minimal at the moment as I can make it. I'm trying to make it less. So I'm kind of like, last night I was dancing. If you watch my Facebook video, I was dancing with my Eeyore pajama top on at something like 5:40 in the morning, and in that moment I was very, very happy, kind of forgetting my stress, enjoying myself, so times like that, it's important for me to do them again and again. So that obviously, sometimes escapism is a good thing to do for a certain amount of time, because if you can't stop going around the record like that, it means that that your mind's spinning out of control. It's usually because that you are problem focused, not solution focused. So you're thinking of the problem over and over in your head without thinking about the solutions. When you think about the solutions, it usually calms you down. When you think about the problems, it exacerbates the stress and anxiety and worry and pain and fear. So solution is always better to focus on. My life, COVID is ruining my senior. COVID is running my senior year. A good book I'm reading for Ella is Children of Blood and Bone, if anyone wants to check it out. Oh, right. Okay. Thank you, my life. Yeah, I mean, I think we have to think about the virus not ruining, like, if we're alive, then I think we're doing good. I think we have to stop thinking, if we can, about the virus ruining our lives, because the fact is it can't ruin our life unless we're dead, to be quite frank with you. Do you know what I mean? Just staying alive now is the most important thing, more than anything else. Do you know what I mean? So we have to be positive. Like my life said earlier, we need to keep smiling, and we need to keep being positive. Ray, if the arrows don't work, I use my axes. If that don't work, I use my guns. Laugh out loud. Yeah, but is that actually solving the problem, Ray? Is that actually solving the problem, or does the problem still come back again and again and again? And that's what you have to ask yourself. Oh, if you like this video, by the way, please give it a thumbs up. It really, really, really helps the channel and to raise awareness of asexuality, of course. So yeah, it's really, really important that you don't just paste over the problems with a band-aid, because they will come back a few months later, or a few weeks later, or even a few days later. You'll get the same problem round and round again. Even looking at the problem sometimes, and thinking, it's better to focus on the solution, not the problem. Because the problem, it does just shoot your anxiety up. It's really important to keep all these stresses to a minimum, and I'm doing this because I want to make sure that all my viewers got the most highest chance of being more resistant to things like sickness, illness, viruses, and injuries, and things like that. You know what I mean? Obviously, I'm not a doctor or psychiatrist or anything like that. I obviously consult that, like I said, take all the official action you need to do. I'm just trying to give you an extra bit of thing, an extra bit of advice to help you to keep your immune system really strong. I like I said, I've got this as a stressor now, so I have to work out either solutions or I can't work out any actual solution. Well, me and the doctor did discuss some solution on the phone, but it was all going her way, which was the thing I didn't want to do, which has caused me more stress. And so I kind of feel now, if she's going to go her way, then I may as well just say, well, let's opt out, not bother, because clearly you not really listening to me properly. Do you know what I mean? You don't really understand me. You don't really understand the extent of the trauma it caused me last time, which is why I haven't gone back and had it again. But I still wanted to keep on the list, because I know for a fact they are doing tests and they are bringing probably kits out in the UK, but they're not going to be for another 3 years. It looks like there are kits already, but by outside companies, not by specific NHS doctors. They're not meant to be as accurate, but I think it's 85% accuracy rate. So but yeah, so I mean, it's not like compulsory anyway, but it's just, I think it's also with anxiety, you kind of worry sometimes if you don't have a test in case there was something wrong. But even if there was anything wrong, I couldn't carry on any treatment, because the treatment would be too much for me. The anxiety of the treatment would be too much for me. So really, I can't go down that path anyway. So I'm like, yeah, I don't know what to do. But like, I have to work it out. I will have to work out whether to park it for now, and then like like the doctor said, we can discuss it in 4 or 5 months or whenever. Like, so yeah, when the virus things settled down and stopped, basically, because I can't go in the surgery anyway to see her. All we can do is talk over the phone. I've got to talk to her again in a couple of weeks' time anyway. Otherwise, I've got to put in writing that I completely want to opt out of this thing. I was so tempted to do that later on. I'm like, but if I'm feeling too stressed, I'm just gonna have to make the decision to opt out of it. Do you know what I mean? Because at the moment, keeping alive is my most important thing. You know what I mean? That should be everyone's most important thing at the moment, staying alive. You know what I mean? And healthy, and not having the virus. But if you do get the virus, being able to be strong enough to overcome it. Which if you've got all this stress and anxiety and fear and worry going on, it's just gonna, if you get the virus and you've got a really weak immune system, it ain't gonna help you. Do you know what I mean? So this is why it's so important. The most important thing we should all be focusing on is our own health and well-being as much as possible, and doing what we can for ourselves, within the guidance of the government, but also within looking after our own food, our own diet, what we eat, and exercise. It's important to still get some exercise. It's important to bring the joy, happiness, don't feel guilty about watching comedy and films that make you happy and stuff like that. And You know, you do need that escapism as well. I think escapism is, as long as you're not like completely avoiding the stressor and you just, you know, like I said, it's not going to go away because you're just like, I'm going to ignore it, because it doesn't go away. It just keeps coming back, and it will keep coming back more and more and get worse and worse. So but it is good to have some temporary relief and some escapism and just take your mind off for a bit and just do other things and stuff. Ray and Tundra, to be honest, the virus has made my life more easier. I can do my shopping faster, and I found I'm not spending as much. Always look for the positive in everything. Yes, Ray, this is very, very important. That's really good. Very, very good. For me, personally, to do with the virus, my local supermarket now across the road has decided to lift limiting items on nearly all items, but now I can't get some of my items that I need. Luckily, I stocked up. It's a good job, because now the toilet rolls I normally buy, there was none there, which are the cheaper ones. The other ones they've got are like 3 to 4 times the price, nearly. Well, 3.5 times the price. Well, there's you know, there's two like within £2 of each other. So, but they're you know, like the cheapest one is like triple the price nearly. Do you know what I mean? So, and soya milk now and sweetened I can't get anymore. So because they've changed I wish they'd really kept some of the limits on those things. You know, apparently it's still on a few things like toilet rolls. So I didn't understand why I can't get the cheaper ones. It seems they're just doing the more expensive ones now, and I'm like, oh. So actually, for me, it was better when they were limiting things, because I could just walk in and get soya milks, my up to 4 soya milks, and not unsweetened, not have a problem. I mean, I have stocked up for a while, luckily, because I've spent the money out sooner rather than later. But you know, because the other ones are much more expensive, so I'm like, ugh. I can get more waters now, but I don't know how long that will last, because obviously, if they've listed the limits on water, there'll probably be a shortage of them as well. So you know, it was getting really much more easier for me to do shopping, just go in, get what I want, come out, and now it's made it harder again for me. So I'm glad you'll find it easier though, Ray, and that you can do your shopping faster. I'm spending more as well, not less, much more, because I can't get all the foods or things I want necessarily at the time I need them at the cheapest price. So so yeah, you know, so it's not, you know, everyone's situation is different, but it's very, very important to look for the positive. And the most positive thing at the moment is that we're alive. You know, if you're watching this, you're living, breathing, you know, and you're here, and that's what we should be focusing on. Not, you know, that if we're still alive, that hasn't completely ruined, you know, it hasn't ruined our life because we still alive, if you get my meaning. You know, it would ruin our life if we weren't here anymore. But you know, things can be mended, the other things can be put back, things can be done again, you know, everything else can be kind of fixed. But fixing someone who's not here anymore, you can't fix that. So the most important thing is to stay alive, to stay happy, to stay healthy, to stay positive. Like Ray said, as much as possible. There is positive in everything. You know, I mean, I'm spending more time at home, which can be a good thing for me. You know, I'm dancing more at home and doing crazy videos on Facebook. I've done some more Facebook lives than I used to do, so that's good. And you know, I'm talking to my friends more than ever before. So it's all good. I'm doing training courses as well at the moment too. So I've got a lot. I'm actually very, very, very busy person at the moment, very busy. So yeah, it's all good. So there's positive in everything. We just have to find it and look for it. And I think it's very good. Like Ray's listed loads of positives for them. So I think it's very, very important to list positives for you as well. So I hope you found these 7 steps to reducing your stress very, very helpful. I really, really appreciate you being here tonight. I'm going to sign off for now. I wish you all lots of love, luck, health, happiness always. It's lovely to have you here. If you have liked this video, please, please, please give it a thumbs up. I really, really, really do appreciate it. I want to thank everyone that's been in chat tonight. You've been amazing, especially because I'm early. I thought I'd come early because I've been a bit later these last few days. So I want to thank Richard. Lots of love to you. Sam, lots of love to you. Lots of love to my life, and lots of love to Ray. And in the meantime, if you've got any comments, queries, questions after this video is finished, you can pop them down in the comment section below. I'd love to hear from you. And if you want to give any more advice to anyone else, got some tips about how to reduce your stress, please do so to the community here, because we all love to help each other. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you haven't already, because it really, really does help raise awareness of asexuality. Thank you so much. Like I said, my life. Thank you. Thank you, Ray. Thank you, Sam. And thank you, Richard. And lots of love. Embrace your quirky and each other. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Tell your friends about this channel. And hit that bell icon to get notified of every time I go live like now, post a new video. Bye, Sam. Take care. Bye, everyone. Bye, my life. Bye, Ray. Bye, Richard.